Paid.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Law Dog Sports, the weekend big show. I'm Chuck Ramsey, the Law Dog, here with you on a beautiful Friday morning in Oklahoma and western Oklahoma, and it is just the center of the universe sports-wise in a lot of ways out this way, and a lot of fun going on. Unfortunately, fortunately, but kind of unfortunately, I've got a partner shortage today, but I did get recruiting in some help from the former days of the podcast, and he's Jon Matthews. Jeremy is out right now on a road trip with some family stuff, and prayers of safe travel for him. But joining me also, prayers for safe travel, is the Matthews family. Jon Matthews at the wheel, headed to the Softball Hall of Fame in Oklahoma City for day 2 of the Class 4A Fast Pitch State Tournament, and that's being carried audio only on Right Media. Jon Matthews, you got the whole fam damly with you, buddy, and you guys are looking to have some fun at the softball tournament.
We are excited. Other than the $100 a day in concession stand, $9 corn dogs, and $6 soft drinks plus $10. What's that thing called you had yesterday? The funnel cake. $10 funnel cakes.
Oh yeah. Hey, I got a question, and this goes back to my youth because I haven't had one since I was probably 16. But does anybody ever finish a whole funnel cake like solo?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
No, normally you end up with kind of back in your youth is just white powder everywhere.
Well, yeah, but I mean, even
everywhere.
Even back when I had metabolism, man, a funnel cake was just like you get 2/3 of the way through. It's like, oh God, what did I jump into here?
Yeah, no, it's a lot, no doubt. But $10, gets you all of it, and it was it's a good time. It's my first time ever to go to Hall of Fame Stadium, and I think the best way to describe it is State Fair meets softball. Like, it was very kind of people everywhere. And if you walk kind of down the left field corridor of the main stadium, which I think is OG&E Park, that's where the other 3 side fields are. And it's really set up to be more of blankets on the side of a grass, and then everybody kind of standing like cattle, just herded in there. It creates a really cool atmosphere because you're shoulder to shoulder with 200 other, Weatherford Eagle or Elk City Elk Jets fans, and a lot of cowbells, and a great time. It was a lot of fun. Other than when a foul ball is hit, boy, keep your head on a swivel.
Oh,
there's no protection. Oh, everywhere. Yeah, there was one. Peyton Mills makes a catch that I thought I was going to have to make the catch. But she comes diving into the fence and makes the catch right in front of us. Of course, it made her proud dad happy, who was sitting right next to me at our location. So it was great time. Shout out to that game yesterday too. I don't know if you want to go straight into softball, but wow,
I was going to touch on it, and basically for anybody listening or hears that's not sure, Jon Matthews set in with Jake Mills, who's been doing Weatherford softball this year. He's got a daughter, Peyton, that plays. She first baseman?
First baseman, yes, sir.
And she's a heck of a player, an underclassman. But this Weatherford Lady Eagles softball team has got a lot of star power to it, and they are looking to punch their ticket for a state title, and I think they've got the guns to do it, John. I know there's some tough teams from there in the Tri-City area, and Blanchard and Tuttle. They take on Tuttle today at 11 from Hall of Fame Stadium, and I don't know much about Tuttle, but I mean, I think it's a situation where if our girls go out and get good contact on the ball and get their regular pitching that they're used to, they should be able to advance.
Yeah, you said it exactly right. Tuttle hits back-to-back home run jacks yesterday. They had 16 runs on the board, which is a lot in fast pitch softball, and they play really well. But we've got Marley Teasley, and we haven't. Most teams have had a lot of success hitting against her.
No.
And not only is she a great pitcher, but she leads the state and even the nation in home runs. She hit her 23rd home run of the year yesterday at Hall of Fame Stadium. So it was a blast. It was fun to watch. But yeah, Tuttle can hit the ball.
I heard you guys say that, and 23 home runs in a fast pitch softball season. That's a lot of dingers there, and she's been such a great dual threat player, just at the plate and with her pitching arm. And then also the Florida State commit, Harley Chisholm, she's just rock solid at shortstop and always great contact. It's funny because I think a season ago I did when I was doing Weatherford softball, it was a situation where they had her at leadoff, and they just wanted to get her on base, and she could do that, in spades. And just really a talented crew. Josh Schultz, an underclassman, she hits big knocks, and just a lot of I'd be remiss not mentioning Carson McPherson. She's just an outstanding softball player. Weatherford softball is a real force to deal with, because I think John, they've got. I mean, Addie Blackwell's a freshman. She's not going anywhere. And so a lot of talent on that Weatherford Lady Eagles softball team.
Yeah, no doubt. A lot of sophomores as well. And you mentioned Addie, and you mentioned Joss, and then Caitlin Bryant. She just committed to SNU to go play softball. And she bats number 2 in the lineup, and she's got a strong bat, fast wheels as well, plays great behind the plate. I think half the strikes are called because of her framing. Don't tell Marley I said that. But I'm telling you, man, she's really good. And it's just like you said, up and down that roster yesterday. Speaking of Peyton, she kind of got them all started off, and they get down in that lineup, and it just seemed like when everybody hits, this is dumb, this is very John Madden of me, but when everybody's hitting the ball, Weatherford seems to do pretty well. It's the top of your lineup's always going to do well, it feels like, but man, when the bottom of the lineup comes alive, it changes everything.
Yeah, and once you get to the state fast pitch tournament here in Oklahoma, you've got to get production from those 6, 7, 8, 9 holes, and it's just what's going to put you through. So hopefully they're able to get that going today against Tuttle, and we always want to root against Tuttle in anything. I mean,
come on, Weatherford Tuttle, like Tuttle has knocked us out of football playoffs, they've knocked us out of baseball playoffs, they've knocked us out of soccer playoffs. I mean. Every time I turn around, Tuttle's knocked us out of something. It doesn't matter what sport it is.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting this season, John, as I went to Elgin last night for Weatherford football, and the Owls are the real deal. They were a quarterfinal team last season in 5A, and then they dropped to 4A, a favorite to win state in Class 4A. And I'll tell you this much, Weatherford's defense is nothing to laugh at. They play really good, sound defensive football. They've got good players, and they just couldn't get a mitten on this Ritzenmeyer kid. He had huge openings for one thing. There's 2 D1 commits on the offensive line for Elgin. Ogamuro is committed to Tennessee, and then a kid named Jace Williams is committed to Navy. And so it was just a situation where they were in the second level, and we were trying to just do what we could to stop them. And kid ran for 210 yards last night and just really gashed us bad. But, it's one of those things you got to bounce back. And I said this last night on the broadcast, you got to bounce back, and you got to go thump Elk City, and send a message to them.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the first half of that game, and I honestly, like you said, Weatherford's got a good squad. I think they'd hung in there 14-7 at one point, and then just some mistakes that Elgin doesn't make. Where Weatherford, of course, gave up the pick 6, which I felt like it was a 99-yard return down the sideline, and then you ran into the backwards pass, which I couldn't decide what he was trying to do there. I don't think when I was watching it was batted down. I really think he just was like halfway through throwing the ball. I was like, oh, there's no receiver. I need to keep it. And then it just slipped out of his hands, and then next thing you know, it went from 14-7 to 21-7 to 28-7, and it wasn't really what I thought Elgin did anything special. And then, then the next one was the 35, I think is where it ended up at halftime.
I think the interception was the pick 6 return was Bryce Martin, 80-yard touchdown interception. 21 points scored after you bring it to 14-7, and you're trying to hang on. But here's the thing. And
only 4 minutes left in that half. Like, it's almost like, man, maybe if we just would have, I don't know. But in my opinion also, I thought the best chance you had against Elgin was throwing the football, because, like you mentioned, all those D1 commits, running the ball against them is impossible.
Oh yeah, it was. They had a lot of beef on the line. You could tell they really had the look of a team that was prepped to compete in 5A, and now they're in 4A. And I know that's all done on numbers, but boy, you talk about a program that's benefited, and they'll have to face their own test, because those teams from District 2, like Tuttle and Blanchard, they always play spoiler, and then you've got Wagner over on the east side of the state. That's always, and here's a bad guru or a bad premonition, John. Weatherford, if they can beat Elk City, they're in command for second place in District 1. That would mean a home playoff game as it stands right now, that would probably be against Bethany. That would be a tough game, but a winnable game. If you win that one, more than likely you're going to the far southeast part of the state to Broken Bow.
Yeah, that's a road trip that nobody wants to do.
I don't want to go to Broken Bow. I mean, I want to keep winning. I want them to win in advance.
So, yeah, no, it's well, especially Broken Bow's really good. I mean, that's the other part of it, right?
Yeah, you go down there, and I'll just say this: my high school experience through Oklahoma is, you travel area codes, don't expect much grace. You're going to be up against a lot. So, but hey, I'm proud of my Weatherford Eagles. They went down there and they fought, and we talked about it last night on the broadcast. This is a heavy senior class, but it's also got some young players really chipping in and contributing. There's a lot of beef left on the lines after this season. I mean, there's some kids that are big that another year in the system and get developed and mature. They could come out and do some special things next year also.
Is it question? You were there last night. Obviously, I was listening to you on the call. You, Jared Jones, and Tisdale. Is that right?
Oh, Tisdale. Yeah.
Yeah, there. And what couple questions I have about the first half again. That dime that they dropped on us when they called pass interference on Weatherford, first of all, that seemed very mythical to me. And I know you're not a refs guy anyways, but it's hard to make fun of referees in high school due to the fact that we're so short and we need as many as possible. But how are they able to apply the pass interference on the kickoff? That made no sense to me.
Yeah, Jared, I didn't get an explanation from Jared on that, and I didn't want to delve into it and prove my ignorance. But apparently, I mean, to me, if it's a penalty, you either take the penalty and take the touchdown, or and it's just another one of those weird deals. I'm not going to, the one thing about district games, John, is they do bring generally crews in from other parts of the region. Like that might.
Right.
I didn't see where that crew was from last night, their card, but it was one of those situations where, if it's a pass interference, then you either take the penalty or you decline it and it's a touchdown. Why are you assessing it? Now, I don't know if something went on there. It was a little tough they have awesome, I'll tell you, Elgin has an awesome press box for both medias, but it was one of those situations where I was really just kind of disappointed more that the kid came up with the catch and double coverage. I
thought as that ball was flying in the air, was it 30, 40 yards? I was like, oh, we got this. That's a pick. Oh,
yeah.
Dang.
And we had a player that tried to high point it and just missed it. And it's sad, a 40-yard touchdown reception. And I said last night on the broadcast, that quarterback for Elgin, he's kind of the Trent Dilfer, which bad reference to throw out right now, but he's kind of the guy that really doesn't get a lot of the credit for their success. But man, he's accurate and he knows the play to dial up. He's been a starting quarterback, I think now at least 3 seasons, and Tress Laura is his name. But I hate to go on and on about Elgin, but man, when they shellac you like that. And here's another thing. I think they were sending a message to the Tuttles and Blanchards last night. They beat the also rans, some of the weaker teams in this district. Of course, they hung 63 on Woodward. But like Bridge Creek, they won that one 44-0. So that tells me they were really pulling guys away. They pulled guys out to get ready for Weatherford, and didn't pile on, because Bridge Creek, I've seen them on tape. They could have scored 70 on them. But I think they ran plays. They scored, another 21 points in the second half. To me, they were probably going ahead and adding a little extra to be able to, and of course, Weatherford's got to go out and tackle as well. But they are a solid team. But Weatherford can bounce back, and I'll tell you this much, John. I won't say it because I'm a play-by-play commentator. You've said it before, but I want to see us go out and really put one on Elk City.
Yeah, that'll be fun. That was fun yesterday as Weatherford softball run ruled Elk City. And yes, no, I think it'll be fun. No doubt. And back to the Elgin thing for just a second. Also, how unsurprised would you be? Because this is very much a Clinton thing to do. If somehow Clinton beats them, if someone beats Elgin, what the fuck was that?
I totally thought that last night as I'm kind of processing the game and recording a rap for Luke Clement that he didn't use. But anyways, I thought, this would be the season that Clinton goes, because that's another thing, John, is you drop to 4A and Elgin also gets the other top teams in the district at home. They don't play a road game against Elk, Clinton, or Weatherford.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's pretty good, isn't it?
But that would be a totally Clinton thing to do. But I'll just say this: I mean, I saw Clinton have trouble. I saw the Weatherford defense able to stymie Clinton at times, and that Elgin defense is tough. We couldn't open up. I mean, when Stone Chisholm can't scramble and get too much positive yardage, it's tough.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, last night, did they go ahead and hand the Thomas Terriers the state championship trophy, or do they have to wait? How does that work?
Thomas Terriers get the win at Texoma. Big win for them because Texoma had really been coming on. But, John, that loss to Apache's tough. But going forward, they've got a November 1st meeting at home against Mangum. They've got to win that one.
I feel like, by the way, they got to play last night. They met in the middle at Panhandle State.
Yeah.
Shout out to Texoma and letting them do that, right?
Yeah. 2 years ago when I went there, we had to go to Texoma and play at their high school field. And it was homecoming for them and Goodwell. So there was bright red and purple as well, because Goodwell, their combined school for football, and their colors are purple. It was weird. The weather was 20 degrees cooler there than it was here in Western Oklahoma. It's a whole nother world in the Panhandle.
Yeah, no doubt. And then back to that Apache game for a second, man. Thomas had that. Man, they had that. And the end of the game was one of the weirdest I'd seen. Apache taking a knee, forgetting Thomas had timeouts, and then Thomas gets down to the 35-yard line with about 14, 15 seconds, and then ran 4 plays and just chunk it in the end zone. So wait a minute, you could still. Anyway, it was interesting dynamic. I think hopefully teams learn from that and get better. But anyways, there's a good win.
There was a lot of going into that with Apache. They lost to Apache in the playoffs last season, and then Apache had dropped a game that was kind of odd. And you always hate for somebody you're gearing up for to lose a game because you think, well, they're not much. Well, they're still pretty good. They were picked number 1 in the state preseason. I think they had struggled. Apache had struggled with Carnegie the week before Thomas played them, and then also got trucked by Mangum. So Mangum's a tough team. Thomas is going to have to bring it at home on the first. But yeah, the big win last night for Thomas on the road at Texoma. Any win at Texoma is going to be good. 19-12 was that score, and I haven't had a chance to look at it. Some Facebook Live comments. Todd Bruner says, "Why isn't Chuck wearing a seatbelt like John?" In my desk chair, that's a pretty good question. Steve Anderson says Broken Bow is a all caps, very tough place to play. And then Kenny McGuire liked my shot at Luke Clement. So thanks, Kenny. Kenny McGuire Insurance in Thomas here around doing a great job. Football wise, last night Clinton John gets a nice win against Woodward. Woodward, it's funny. I talked to people that remember back when Woodward was really strong contenders in almost every sport, and they've taken a downturn as of late.
Yeah, it's been a rough several years. They almost remind me of kind of Elk City 3-4 years ago. It's been a lot of I don't know, the Baylor comments, back in the day just seems to be there. I don't know what they can do to fix the program. It's hard, in high school, especially. It's not like you can have move-in. Speaking of Thomas, it's not like you can have just go recruiting players, things like that. So I don't know exactly what the solution is for Woodward's program, but Elk City turned it around. That was you could argue, just hiring a new coach. Is that too early for that, or is it weird to call for a high school coaches to make a change?
I don't know, man. I worry a little bit that I was a little too critical last night on some things, but man, when you go 21 unanswered points, it gets a little tough. And really, if you think about it, it was 42 unanswered points. But it's tough. You try to stay positive. You try to, not make any parents mad, which apparently I'd done that the last week. But anyways, Courtney Huff checking in. The Elgin game was rough. Our boys played their heart out for sure. Braden Huff is a good center for this team. I like the way that kid plays. It's just one of those things, and we saw it last year, John, and we had 6'5", 330-pound Gage Stiegel on the line. That Elgin team just has a first step off the snap that's just hard to contend with. I mean, those guys, and then defensive linemen chasing down our quarterback. That was or chasing down our running backs. That was another one. It's like, where do these guys come from? But like I said, they figuratively should be in 5A.
Yeah, we talked to me and Marshall Hargis. I mean, know that guy. Not for a prolong. We're talking last night on the way as he was driving to the game, and we were talking about the running game. And I said, you're going to have a hard time getting to the outside because those defensive linemen will catch you from behind.
Yeah,
and it's going to be a challenge. I mean, there's just a bunch of athletes on that defense, and
I hate
a challenging game plan. Like I said, good.
I hate to pull the scab off, but last night reminded me a bit of OU Texas. It just, we're a good team. We're a decent team. We've got a few things here and there, but we're just going up against a team that just had so many players in different spots. But, that's the thing. You got to play a full season. Elgin's 7-0, and our goal is to get a chance to meet them again in the playoffs. Get into the playoffs, get some wins. Get it clicking. And I think there's ways that they can do it. I hope that they figure out a way and shore up some things. But, first thing is you got to secure second place in the district.
Yeah, I mean, the district's just so top heavy too. It's just hard. You're most likely not going to get a John Marshall upsetting somebody or a Woodward upsetting somebody or Bridge Creek, if you will. It's those teams are going to get those wins. So you got to beat the ones you're supposed to beat. You got to beat Elk City. You got to beat Clinton, or vice versa. Elk City's got to beat Clinton.
Yeah.
Got to beat And I don't think anybody's expecting to beat Elgin, but man, like I said, just going back to that game, I felt like that could have. I'm not saying Weatherford would have won, but it just took a turn there in like the last 4 minutes of that first half where we shot ourselves in the foot a little bit, and then once Elgin had all the momentum, it was over.
Yeah, and turnovers are tough to overcome against a mediocre team, but against a team like that, you have to you can't afford them. And like I said, I think the quarterback play with the backwards pass, I think that would have been a good spot to just implement the tuck rule and just say, hey, he was trying to tuck it. So
right.
Give him a Tom Brady pass. That's what I saw. But anyway.
Yeah.
Some comments coming on. Kenny McGuire, Weatherford is dang good, but Elgin is for real. The Eagles will be there late in the playoffs. I hope so. I want to make an extended playoff run with this team for sure. And then Courtney Huff, again, we have to be on point the rest of the season. You got to go out and handle your business. You got to go out and play with some fire against Elk City. You can't go into their place and be any part hesitant or lackadaisical. You got to go hit them in the mouth.
Elk City always fired up. I mean, like you said, you mentioned that rivalry game. It gets chippy. Some could say it gets dirty. It gets very physical, and it's a tough. And being on the road always is never fun. It's an I-40 rivalry. These teams have hated each other for a long time, and it's not going to change. It's not going to change any tomorrow.
Yeah. Sayre Eagles get a big win last night at Watonga, 36-13. Watonga, John, in danger. I mean, they'll play Merritt the final game of the season. That may be Merritt does have a win against Cordell. That's where Coach Matthews, Coach Walter at Watonga. He should have. It's Matt Walter. Yeah, he should have worked and strived and found a way to get Cordell on the schedule.
Poor Cordell. Poor Cordell. It's been a while since
I feel so bad for that school. I want to go.
Danny Hendricks. Was it Hendricks? Who was the coach many years ago? There was like one of the coaches for Cordell had all-time wins and leads, and I can't remember his name right now. He was the all-time winningest coach in Oklahoma. But it's been a while.
You talking about Sealing?
No, Cordell. There was a coach down there. This is before. This is.
I thought Hendricks was at Sealing.
Yeah, I'll get back to you on this. I'll figure it out in my brain.
As my regular partner Jeremy Schroeder would say, I'm going to effort it real quick. Let's see. He's good. He's good at efforting on the fly, but I'm usually yakking during that time, and I can't find.
Yeah,
let's see.
Me and Google have a good relationship normally, but it's
yeah.
Is it Hendricks?
I could
almost
have
want to phone a friend right now.
Let me see here. Records, football. Let's see. It's always good to look up the coaching football records because right there you come on Mike Lee right there at the beginning. Uh, always good to see that. And I'm not claiming to be a Clinton fan, but Mike Lee is a heck of a guy. Let's see here. Coaching. All-time coaching records. Name look up. You said Hendricks?
I think that's right.
Brent
Now you make
Hendricks?
me want to do some effort. No.
Kremlin Hillsdale is Brent Hendricks. So, anyways, but I'll keep working on that. But John, there's so much going on. Let me ask you this: are you? Max Patton checks in, says Watonga is better than their record. I had a feeling that class when they divided up Class A in the state of Oklahoma for football, John. Division I, you've got Hooker and Fairview at the top, and then you throw Cashin in. Crescent had a good season last year. Our teams that we kind of cover here in Western Oklahoma, it was going to be murderer's row.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you'd see they're kind of, that's just typical football in general right now. It feels like you're either really good or you're not, and you're really bad. Like, what do we? It doesn't seem like you've got a lot of those 500 teams left. I don't know what the deal is, that or why that seems to be the case. Maybe that's just the parity of football in general.
Max Patton is the voice of Sayre Eagles football. He checks in again. 4-way tie for second in Class A1, District 1. Sayre, Fairview, Cashin, and Hinton. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Fairview's not in a tie with anybody. Well, they're in a tie for first with Hooker, and that's going to be a big matchup there on this. Well, that was last night, so I guess there might be a score from that I'm actually missing. So I don't have to look that up too. But so you've got softball.
Score you need? I'm on fire.
Say again.
So what score do you need? I'm on fire. I can do it.
Yeah. Where you're going softball with the family today. Are you doing volleyball tonight at the Pioneer Event Center?
No, volleyball is on the road. They're on their road trip in Arkansas
Okay.
right now. In fact, they got a big win last night for SWASU at Harding.
Yeah.
They were playing. Sorry,
I thought they beat OBU.
Last night, and then they're playing. Who is it? Arkansas, either Arkansas Tech or Arkansas Monticello. One of them today at 4:00. And then one more game, I believe, on Saturday. You know how the Arkansas road trips go. You get as many games as you can in. Yeah.
And Josh Collins doing a great job with that team, and Lacey Mott, a heck of a what's that position called in volleyball? Striker?
The best player on the team.
Exactly.
I don't know. No, she's really good. Really good. Her and Zoe Sparks last night went off and had fun. Their 7th win in a row.
Wow.
They officially secured first place in the GAC by themselves.
And
they're good. They're really good.
Yeah.
Coach Collins told me a while back after they lost something they weren't supposed to lose to. And, and I asked myself, hey, can you quit making stuff? He said, I'm trying.
Yeah.
He said, man, if these girls get it together, if they don't get it together, they're going to look back on this season and have a lot of regret because they're a very talented team.
Yeah. So Max Patton checks in, says Hooker beat Fairview last night 38-7. So that's quite the blowout for the two-time defending state champions there. For them, actually, were they three-peating? I can't remember. Let's see. Yeah, they might have been on a three-peat. I can't remember. But so Hooker establishing themselves as district leaders there in that one, and Sayre, Watonga, and Hinton, Merritt, those teams is kind of out in our wheelhouse. They're going to have a tough road to try to get into the playoffs. But 2 seasons ago, John, in Class A football, I was doing Thomas, and they won 1 game. And you talk about some fortunes turning. Won 4 or 5 last season, made the playoffs, fought Apache tooth and nail, and then now they're kind of in the driver's seat in a lot of ways. But they do have to beat a very tough Mangum team.
Well, they got the feeder school of Weatherford, and then they have a way to just try to keep getting better.
I've caught you on that. You're still.
I was saying
transfers.
I mean, a little bit. Come on, man.
Yeah.
I didn't realize there was a feeder program.
Yeah. Brody, Brody Willis, it was tough to see him, in Terry Green, but man, those kids are loving it up here. And two of the stars for
Yeah.
football are my neighbors. And so maybe Thomas kind of returned the favor of Weatherford stealing their play-by-play guy.
Oh, is that it? I think Brody scored almost, I think, every point for Thomas last week. No, he's great. I'm just, like I said, I'm just jealous because, man, how good Weatherford could be with him there. But I understand where we're at and how life goes. And who knows exactly what's going on in that situation. Maybe someone really did have a job or need to move, or I don't, no one really knows what's really going on.
I didn't delve into it. I just talked to the kids and visited for a little bit with the family in preseason. They all seem very happy. So it's like, you got to, there's one thing in life you got to go be happy. Kenny McGuire checking in says it was a three-peat. And then he also says Thomas likes Mike Crow and him a lot better than me. So that's probably
that I believe.
Hey,
throwing back to the Cordell comment, Bruce Hendrickson, by the way, is who I was referencing. Now, I'll Google him later. But write that down, Bruce Hendrickson.
Yeah, I had him pulled up.
But I
did not see. Let's see here. Hendrickson,
Cordell Blue Devils coach. I'm going to guess 2000.
Okay, yeah, 01 to 05. He was at Cordell. He had a 40-16 record, and then he was at Sealing. So I thought I recognized that name. Being at Sealing at one time, but you talk. Here's a career, John. He began at Commerce, Oklahoma, in 1970. Then Texoma, Okeen, Wynnewood, Wewoka. That's really crisscrossing the state, and finished up in 2014 at Sealing. So I thought that name sounded familiar, but he coached 5 years at Cordell and went 40-16. That's basically Belichick numbers for Cordell, isn't it?
Yeah, no, that's just the last I remember of Cordell being really good. And but come on, we turn it around, Blue Devils.
Yeah, I'd love to see them get competitive just because they're so close here in the area. And here's the thing with the transfer rules. Huh?
I was just saying, you lose. You also always, like, when you're this, you run the problem of kids not wanting to play for a team that's not competitive. And then next thing you know, you don't have a football program anymore.
Hey, I'll tell you this, John. The previous coach there, Cody Gilmore, before this gentleman that's coaching there now, I can't remember his name, but Cody Gilmore came in and he really tried to implement a culture. I really believe he did. And I mean, they would show up in the summertime for 7-on-7, and you could just read the body language getting off the bus. And then they would go out in 7-on-7 and do some nice things. But obviously, we don't play 7-on-7 in the regular season. But hey, real quick, last night, Corn Bible Academy, unfortunately, kind of got boat raced by Ryan, who's, one of the top teams in Class C 8-man. But Corn Bible having a nice season at 4-3 overall, 2-2 in districts. And then Geary, the Bison there, kind of on your way to work, they got a big win over Granfield. They won 15-0 over Bray Doyle, which must have been a forfeit. So anyways, Class C 8-man football with Corn Bible and Mountain View, Godebo, and Geary. There are some teams in 8-man football out here in western Oklahoma that you can kind of follow. Mountain View, Godebo tried to hang in with Tipton, the defending state champion. They lose 64-14. So it was closer than that at half. But hey, real quick, and I know you're on the road, but college football, pretty big weekend this week for area teams. And it starts tonight. Are you going to be up at 9:15 to see the kickoff of Oklahoma State at Provo to take on BYU?
There's a chance. There's a really good chance. I don't know if I may have painted a wall, need to watch it dry. Or, I'm just kidding. No, it should be fun. I mean, come on, Oklahoma State, Friday night football. Does it tick you off a little bit, even though most of the schools played last night, so not a big deal? It really does kind of burn me a little bit. I was mad at OU and they did it. When you start playing on Friday nights, that's dipping into high school football time, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
I feel like that's not fair to anybody.
Well, you're from Texas, so let me ask you this. If TCU has a game at Amon G. Carter Stadium on a Friday night, is it going to deter the DeSoto fans from going?
No.
Yeah.
No. 100% not.
Mesquite, are they gonna suffer attendance? Because who it really hurts, John, is those teams' coaches that are out recruiting on Friday night. you really hurt your recruiting if you're playing a Friday night game because I don't know if Andrew Rice was at last night's game in Elgin, but I mean he pulled three he comes from Southern Arkansas to SWOSU, and he pulled three players off of last season's Elgin team. I would think he's going to go try to knock on some doors with this year's Elgin team. And we know he's recruiting several Weatherford players.
Yeah. No, SWOSU got it. It's homecoming next week. Is there any? I mean, that's twice now they've had. Speaking of SWOSU football, they had the game, man, fumbled on the 10-yard line to take the lead with 2 minutes to go in the football game last week, and then now it's they're. I at least see it. Like I see, it's been a lot of games that were frustrating, but you see them almost winning, blowing an 18-point lead in the fourth quarter. At least they had an 18-point lead.
Yeah.
The chance to win that game last week as well. They're getting better. Coach Rice is getting better.
Well, didn't they had a 2-game win streak during that at one time, right? Didn't they win 2 in a row?
2-game win streak, and they did, won 2 in a row, but then they had to follow that up with Harding, who's the number 1 team in the nation, and they're really good. They won the national championship last year.
But I'm just saying they had a 2-game win streak, right? Good. And so a 2-game win streak.
Oh, yeah, they've won 2 games, yes.
You went out and won 2 games, and, you had to go face the number 1 team in Division II. And I put this out on Twitter last week. Or, no, it was earlier this week. I was watching a Conference USA game, and it was really just some bad football. And I posed the question on Twitter: how would Harding fare in the Conference USA or Sun Belt? Would they be able to go to have the horses? They probably wouldn't dominate, but I mean, I bet they would be competitive.
Oh, no doubt. And what they do is unique, and you've got to prepare for it, kind of like Army Navy style of football, and you've got to and they've been doing it for a really long time. Coach has been there for a long time, and no, I definitely think they'd be competitive.
Yeah. So SWOSU is at Oklahoma Baptist this Saturday. Hopefully they can get a win against the Bison, because I'm not a big fan of the OB play-by-play guy, but whatever. And then Southeast Oklahoma comes to town on October 26th, and that'll be homecoming. You'll be there running the PA for that, right?
Yeah, we got the masked band, got a parade, I believe, at 10 a.m. that morning, and bands from all over the state show up for that thing. And it's a really big deal, the parade, and then the halftime show as well. And then, there's football. It's homecoming. That place is packed, and standing room only. Tailgate's always a lot of fun, and it'll be a blast.
Okay. So back on big-time college football, Oklahoma State's a 9-point dog at Provo. I'm thinking, go with the Mormons all night on that. Yeah,
Oklahoma State couldn't find a wet end of a paper bag. I don't know what I'm saying there. It's not good. It's not good there right now.
The funny thing about it, and they've also got Ollie Gordon II listed as questionable. The funny thing about OSU is they've spent so much of my lifetime being the team that, sneaks up on teams, and, they're the underdog. They went into this season as a favorite, and they have really dropped the ball.
They lost nobody. Everybody returned. They even got better. I think you got a wide receiver there that was making nobody. They returned everybody.
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah. I mean, when you look at their offense, they're 109th in total yards. And really, BYU's not much better. They're 394th. But defensively, BYU's, I don't know. This could be the game where Gunny goes out and throws a wrench and everything. The Big 12's hoping that somebody goes undefeated and is a shoe-in for, obviously to help get an extra playoff team in. And this will be the game where those guys go out and play their lights out. I'll take BYU in the 9, but I mean, this will be the game that it would be his style to go out and get his team motivated, and they ruin a perfect season for BYU.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Speaking of seasons that have been tough and rough, I got some OU tickets for tomorrow if anybody wants them. Seems like it's pretty cheap.
We'll get to that real quick. Last thing on OSU. Here's an interesting deal, John, and you've known Big 12 football majority of your life. OSU's 3-3 in conference. So you go into middle of October, you're 3-3 in conference. What position generally in a conference would you think that would put you in?
3-3 in conference. I would think you're going to be in 10th,
14th. You're 500
14th.
conference and you're 14th in the Big 12. It's just
well, I mean, did you know what that?
Huh?
Is that not normal?
I'm not a fan of it. I mean, well, I'll say this: I don't care, but it's just an adjustment. I mean, there was a time back, when there were 8 teams in a conference, and you were 3-3, you were just solid middle of the pack. Because more than likely you beat 3 teams that, you know what I mean. Basically, when you were 3-3, you were already halfway through. You're more than halfway through your schedule. Big game tonight. Also, I'm going to pay attention to Florida State and Duke. 6 p.m. kickoff on that. Duke is a 3-point favorite over the Noles. They have mailed it in.
Yeah, I mean, what happened? Like, I thought Florida State was going to be this thing, and then ever since going to Ireland, right? Is that
the selection committee gutted their program last year. They have not recovered from that snub. Which, say what you want. I'm not a big bowls that don't matter in the playoffs. It's great to win them. It's not the end of the world if you lose them. But the way they got trucked by Georgia in that bowl game, and then it just solidifies the people that argued that they shouldn't have been in the playoff, and it's tough to come back from that. And they have not at all. And but one thing about it is these teams, you recruit and you recruit and you recruit, and there's teams that, John, they're considered blue bloods, they're considered traditional programs, and they do pretty well. But I think we've hit the time, and I've said this for years, and I know Jeremy shudders when I say it, but there's times where it's come a time where college football is basically English Premier Soccer. There's going to be 4 teams that are the crust, the cream of the crop because of their budgets and their fan base and I'm having a hard time putting OU in that right now.
No, I agree. I mean, if you look at it, and I think it's even going to go all the way down for your analogy as far as relegation is concerned. I mean, I think you've got your top end, and I think this is not a bad idea for football to have a major D1 and have 30 teams in it, and then everybody else in another league, and vice versa. The bottom of the 30 gets put in the other one, and I think that'd be a great idea for college football. But no, OU's not in it. They're not. It's just that's the reality of where we're at right now. Everybody thought they'd be a little bit better too. Banged up. It's really hard. You're playing with wide receivers that you just kind of walk through the locker room and said, "Hey, anybody want to be a wide receiver?" That's never fun to do. And then you've also, the freshman quarterback, I don't think is the answer. I still think last week their best chance during Texas was why not? Let's put not Gabriel, whatever, back in the game. Because at this point, it's not going to hurt anything. And
talking about Jackson,
just your offensive line is Jackson Arnold. But your offensive line is not. It is the weakness of your, you got a great offensive line coach. It's just you got who you got playing those positions you have, and they're not going to get any better overnight.
Okay, so I'm really irritated right now. We'll get back on that here in a second. But you know how the scammers click links to Facebook posts to get people to say they're watching the game?
Yeah. Pardon
my French, but some butthole Facebook page just clicked the link to our live stream. OSSAA state semifinals, Tuttle versus Weatherford. Watch live. I hate them. And I do try to monitor those. Please, everybody, just make sure you don't click on those links. They're scammers. They will get in. Have you seen those TikTok videos where hackers from America hack into the computers of the scammers in India?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, those are awesome. They do that voice like, I'm grandma.
Do not redeem it. Do not redeem it. Sorry if I
they get all
some racism on your family there. My apologies. So
I have an embarrassing. I clicked on a link the other day, the exact same situation, except it had Dak Prescott. Oh, it had Dak Prescott wanting to be stripped of his captain. Oh, please be true. I was so desperate for it to be true. Jake Mills is calling me via FaceTime. Do you think, does this work?
Yeah. Yeah, you're good.
I don't even know if this will it work.
Oh, you're gone. I guess I was losing you. Jon Matthews there on the road, so we'll keep working on some stuff there. Oklahoma hosting South Carolina. They're a 1.5-point favorite at home. I always hearken back to my friend Corey Hogue saying that you get 3 points regardless of whether you're or you get 3 points at home regardless. So that tells me that basically South Carolina is a 2.5 favorite. Or a 1.5 favorite. And so I don't know. We'll see. Courtney Huff, thanks. He answered a FaceTime. It ended the Zoom. So let me try to send him the invitation back and see if we can get John back on. But so anyways, it's just a situation where we've got to see what OU can muster offensively, because this South Carolina team, I'm not unimpressed by some of their resume. I know they dropped a tough one at home against LSU, and then they went on the road and really had a chance to beat Alabama. I don't think we've seen anything like that from the Sooners so far this season, but that doesn't mean it can't happen at home. You know, they did muster up some offense against – there's John coming back, so let's get him back in here. John, if it wasn't for Courtney Huff, I might not know where you went. So our listeners.
What did she tell you?
She said you answered a FaceTime and it ended the Zoom call. So.
Yeah, I thought maybe my sideways T, or is that just me?
You're sideways, but we'll roll with it. We're about to shut it down
okay.
Here. Real quick, John, I was talking about OU South Carolina, and hopefully I'm hoping that the fans will show up and show out. It's, you know, you've asked for this. Everybody's excited about it. You can't tuck tail and run after you lose. You know, you've got 2 losses in conference and you get hammered by your rival. You got to come back and fight. I mean, think about all the Auburn fans that have been fighting through stuff for years. 8 new comments. Hold on. Let's see. Courtney Huff, our injured players list, sad face. Yeah, it is sad. But I saw this. OU's a 1.5-point favorite. A handicapper told me one time that you get 3 points just for being at home. So that is that saying that you know, South Carolina is a 1.5, actually a 2.5. Would it be 2.5-point favorite if you get 3 at home?
I mean, you go back to pick them as a 0, right? So that's where I don't know. My point. All I know is I got a pair of tickets. If you want $10 a piece, I'll give them to you right now. A lot of people trying to bail on Saturday noon game too. 11:45 kickoff. That's weird.
Yeah, back to the early kickoffs. You know, welcome back to the Big 12. I was saying South Carolina, they're not a bad team at all. Shane Beamer actually has a pretty good squad there. They lose a tough one at home to LSU. A lot of people online pointed out a lot of officiating issues in that game. And then they go to Tuscaloosa and almost pull off the upset there. 2 things I'll take from this. South Carolina's a tough team, and OU's going to have their work cut out for them on both sides of the ball. But I'll also say this. I'm expecting, you know, everybody was upset. I was upset last week by the loss to Texas and how it went down. But you know what? What's everybody's narrative if Georgia goes into Darrell K. Royal and gets boat raced tomorrow?
Well, then you feel a lot better, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, I hate that your rival's really good, but I think we know Texas is really, really good.
I don't know. I didn't watch that game and think Texas was really good. I watched that game and thought OU was really bad. Maybe I'm a cynic, though. I'm a Cowboys fan. Every time I watch them, I think the Dallas Cowboys are just really bad. So maybe I'm wrong, but I did not come out of that game. I mean, yours looked awful. I felt like I did not come out of that game, though, thinking that Texas would. Now, but again, if they boat race Georgia, then I'm wrong, right? 100% wrong.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot on the line. It's at home for them. That works out well. They did get, out of the 2 teams added to the SEC, they really got a cupcake schedule out of the deal.
Yeah, I mean, come on, it's SEC. There's no such thing as a cupcake schedule. You play in Georgia, well, you play Alabama.
Compared to them, it's pretty cupcake.
All right. Just because you get to play Ole Miss or what?
Vandy? Yeah, Ole Miss, Missouri. I mean, I guess Texas A&M could be something that they'll have to deal with at the end, but we know how A&M can be.
Oh yeah. Plus, come on, A&M Texas. How long has that been?
Are you excited about that as a native Texan?
I think so. Yeah, I think anybody that's a fan of rivalry games, that one was one of those that since I was a little, in the womb, they were playing each other, and then all of a sudden they weren't. Speaking of playing each other in rivalries, here's my plan. Now they both have to become bowl eligible. That's a really big wrench in my plan.
Mm-hmm.
But OU, OSU, bowl matchup.
Texas Bowl.
I don't know. Yeah, the Mainco, Carco, nobody cares bowl. But I mean, come on, OU, OSU. Now again, both of them got to get 6 wins, and I don't know where OU, other than Maine, is going to find their 6th win.
Yeah,
but that's a whole other.
They've got to get one tomorrow. That's the one. I mean, nothing else. And I don't know that Missouri's all that great, but they're just one of those teams that you go to Columbia, and I hated going to Columbia when OU had a definite edge.
Yeah.
But
all right, buddy. Hey, I'm pulling in Oklahoma City traffic, fixing to get to Hall of Fame Stadium and wait in line for a couple hours.
We're going to let you go, and good luck today. Bring back a win for the Lady Eagles softball team.
Let's go. Take State.
That's right. Jon Matthews from 95.5 The Coyote joining me here, filling in for Jeremy Schroeder. We appreciate him doing so on the road. It's not always the easiest thing to do, but Jon always brings a lot of analysis and things to the show, and we appreciate him coming on. I was looking also to Alabama at Knoxville, and they are a 3-point favorite. Not a lot of respect given on that one to Josh Heupel and his team, but I will say this. I mean, they beat Florida last week, and just, the loss to Arkansas at Fayetteville definitely hurt them, but I think that's going to be a tough game, and I might favor Tennessee at home against and in Knoxville against Alabama, because we've seen what that team can do. Jeremy is on the road this week. We appreciate Jon Matthews filling in and talking some sports. We talked more high school today because that's kind of my wheelhouse right now going into the fall, and then also Jon keeps up with a lot of it. So Western Oklahoma sports kind of on display today, but we'll do more tomorrow night on the college football wrap-up show. Be sure and join us here. Prepare yourself, because we are really going to start making the hard transition over to YouTube. Our YouTube page at Law Dog Sports is where we will begin going live next week. So we'll put plenty of announcements out there, and for our base that listens, we appreciate you very much. But make sure you switch over to the YouTube. You can follow us and keep up with everything on Facebook, Twitter, X, and Instagram. I did delete the TikTok account, as Jeremy pointed out to me last Saturday. And you can also listen to the podcast at your convenience on SoundCloud, Spotify, Amazon Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. And also, as I mentioned, you can watch the videos of these episodes on our YouTube page. Please subscribe, please share, and subscribe if you would. You can find links to all of those at Law Dog Sports. So we want to thank Jon Matthews for joining me as he was on the road to Oklahoma City. He's going to be on the call on Right Media, Weatherford Eagles TV, for Weatherford Eagles State Tournament Fast Pitch Softball. Good luck to the Lady Eagles against the Tuttle Tigers, and we will be listening to that as well. And then also, we hope safe travels for him and his family, and then also for Jeremy Schroeder as his family's on the road as well. So anyways, we appreciate them very much, and we appreciate you for tuning in. I'm Chuck Ramsey, the Law Dog. This has been the Weekend Big Show. Be safe out there. Don't text and drive, and sure don't drink and drive. And we'll talk to you real soon.